My name is Rory Houlihan. I ran for U.S. Senate last spring 2016 to stop the ticking time bomb so I could put our economy on track for a bright new day instead of all things ending. Now running for KYH 73 in 2018, but I still need to tell. So let me educate you on ticking time bombs and give you the rest of the story. Part 18, Kant versus Ayn Rand. I'm resuming where I left off in part 16, symbiotic versus predator-prey relationships, posted on 3/10/2018. Facebook would like me to remind you folks that you can go to any of my past posts by going to the posted on this date page button on my timeline and typing in the date. I have dated my posts so you can read posts instead of watching. Okay. On 310, I talked about symbiotic relations during the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, and 70s, and what the economic result looked like. 70% of the gains going to hardworking folks, then 90%, and 30% going to top 10%, the capitalists. When I talked about predator to prey during the 1980s, a little respite during the 1990s, continuing during the 2010s, and what the economic result looked like then. 100%, 0% going to the hardworking, and 100% going to the top 10% capitalists. Economic growth for the most of the symbiotic period was a healthy 3 to 4%, and economic growth in the latter was 1.9 or less, basically population growth or less, which translates to 0% real economic growth. We call this growth stagflation. As someone who studied economics during the 1980s, I have a clear-eyed view of our capitalist system. Most economists read Adam Smith's first book, The Wealth of Nations, but few read Adam Smith's second book, The Theory of Moral Sentiments, published in 1759, which is actually the book that creates the science of economics. Now, I'm not going to go into a read, but here's the outline of the book. I'm not reading it. While Adam Smith's first book, The Wealth of Nation, was all about observances, Adam Smith's second book. Smith starts to apply Immanuel Kant's philosophy, rights have duties, checks and balances, to Smith's economic world. Back to the symbiotic working together. In order to maximize rights, you have a duty to work together with respect other people's rights, so you can both obtain the maximum rights for all. Well, Adam Smith does the first cost to benefit analysis as kind of a proof of this. Through this proof, he comes up with supply is equal to demand, or goods creators equals good buyers, sustainers. Could we also say job creators equals job sustainers? Probably. This is the classical economic view of S equal D, or supply equals demand. Understand, demand is a check and balance to supply. Without demand, there can be no supply, because demand sustains supply. Because all businesses live on cash flows. When cash flows, businesses go and grow. When cash stops, businesses stop and die. So in the classical economics, demand is what is important. In today's supply side economics, supply sustains demand is upside down to Adam Smith's demand sustains supply. Supply side economists love to say money supply is equal to supply. Is there any mention of demand here? What a neat trick of con. MV equals PQ is the equation, or money on hand at the time times how much is spent and at what rate it is spent. V. That's equal demand. Remember Kant's principle, rights have duties, RHD, of working together to maximum both. Good suppliers work with goods buyers, and an equilibrium of price is agreed to. Now, we see working together in markets all over the developing world, the haggling over price and the bargaining going on. Remember, the street vendor world is also Adam Smith's world, too. Adam sees folks working together, the give and take of the local marketplace going on daily in his small town marketplace. Two, Adam Smith sees their working together as an invisible hand driving our economic system. So Immanuel Kant is also at the heart of our economic theory and classical capitalism. Now comes Russian Ayn Rand, and she knows Immanuel Kant's idea of balance of power, Immanuel Kant's idea of checks and balance. Immanuel Kant's rights have duties is at the heart of our democracy working together to create balanced laws like the Second Amendment, a well regulated to keep guns out of the bad guys' hands and to keep massacres down, balancing shall not be infringed, which would put the guns in the bad guys' hands. So, law abiding gun owners' rights to have shall not need to be infringed, so that they would have their right to a gun maintained. For over 200 years, the Second Amendment was this way until four Ayn Rand, following conservatives' Freedom Caucus, were posted on the Supreme Court, who unbalanced the Second Amendment in 2004 with the Heller decision. Immanuel Kant's rights have duties principles created balanced rights, balanced laws, and balanced government policies. Immanuel Kant's rights have duties is at the heart of the suppliers working together, the invisible hand, with demanders to create our economic S equal D markets. Today, we are told by conservatives that if we give more and more money to the very wealthy job creators, that money which is being offshored, lowering the money on hand in our economy, or used to consolidate to collapse businesses, competition, jobs, and opportunity will somehow trickle down some benefits to the hard worker. Sorry if I see supply side economics as a con to create and to put into and keep going the anti capitalism, predator to prey fascist system in America and across the world. But reality, the data shows we should do what classical economics tells us to do. Start giving more and more money to the job sustainers, you hardworking folks, because masses with money is good for our economy. Kant was a monk, and he based his philosophy on scripture. Kant's philosophy follows Jesus Christ and Paul's dying wishes to be moderate in all things, to be known by your moderation. Kant's philosophy is the philosophy of the moderate, which I was taught in my Catholic school, to be moderate in all things. When I was reading Ayn Rand's last book, Philosophy, who needs it? I kept on noticing her constant attack on Kant and on Kant's ally, the Christian moderate progressives in our government, especially Republican. From reading books like George Norris's The Fighting Liberal, I know there has been a conservative war on Christian progressive moderates since the 1920s in the Republican Party. If your goal was to undermine and destroy our country, wouldn't you go after the person at the heart of our democratic government and our economic system? The Kant following moderate. Kant's philosophy is our founding fathers' philosophy. If your ultimate goal is to bind and destroy our government and not fire a shot, wouldn't you go after those who would defend our moderate American values? Both Democratic and Republican Christian progressives. Russian Ayn Rand's goal is simple: cut the three legs that our democracy stands on. I am a scientist by education. I can write any of my posts in strictly an agnostic prose, but I chose to have a Christian point of view instead because I see a conservative veil across the country to hide the evil men, their evil intentions, and their evil actions. I see Russian Ayn Rand conservatives' intentions are to cut the three legs by which our country's republic stands on: balanced laws, balanced economic policies, and a moderate Judeo Christian philosophy, which progressives have, and remove progressives who work together with others from our government. I do not have a fixation on Iran. I am trying to get you to fix your attention to Iran Rand's followers who are hiding behind the conservative veil and are robbing and destroying our dear sweet country. In 1972, a satanic conference, Satanists were asked what they thought of Ayn Rand's philosophy. They said it was satanic Satanism without the trappings. In 2004, when the last Republican Christian progressive retired, could Randian conservatives celebrate the last progressive leading and turning the stars on the RNC symbol to point down to hell? Don't believe me? Look at their symbol in 2004 on. I believe their answer was, when a new world order takes over, they will turn the stars back up. One of Jesus' last acts was, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they're doing." Honestly, I believe folks following don't know what they are doing. They haven't made the connection, say, to defund is to destroy. They don't understand that Ayn Rand's predator to prey conservatism is a poison to our democracy. They know not what they are doing. But I do, and therefore I have a duty to protect our dear sweet country. So I run for office and write these posts to stand up for our values. If you like what you hear, would you do me a favor and subscribe to my Rory for Us YouTube.com channel? You have a good and blessed day, folks. Bye.